Welcome friends to our Wake Up India campaign, and thank you for all the support you have shown us. Today we are standing in Vasant Vihar locality of New Delhi. It is one of the posh colonies of city, and though when I say posh, you can see the garbage and the dumps behind me. This area is actually right behind the Vasant Vihar Hotel and PVR Priya complex. As you can see, the dumps and the garbage spread out here. It is no one but people like you and me who have actually created this mess around here. But still, there are some hope, because there is someone who is actually trying to beautify the city. There is someone who is putting all his efforts to correct the things, the mistake that we have committed. He is trying to rectify those things. Let's catch up with him and try to find out his views, his perspective, why he is doing so. Here we are with Mr. Yogesh Saini. He is founder of Delhi Street Art. Welcome, sir, to our campaign. And can you please briefly explain what you do and why you do this?
So what I do is basically try and motivate a lot of people, including a lot of young artists, to kind of take over some of our public spaces, so we can add some beauty, some aesthetics, and hopefully some cleanliness to our open spaces, and to also bring out art and creativity, not only to parts of Delhi but other parts of the country as well. So that's how Delhi Street Art got started about 5 years ago, when we took a look at the Lodi Gardens garbage cans and decided to give them a facelift with some artists. And then one thing led to another, and Delhi Street Art has been involved in several different initiatives in some clean places and a lot of dirty places. And each time we go there, the goal is to try and make a difference. And secondly, to try and get the local community involved. So the change that we are trying to do should be somewhat of a sustainable change, because if they are involved, then hopefully they will also be interested in looking after it.
Right. So, do you get disheartened when you see garbage spread over everywhere? How do you feel? And when you try to beautify it, what comes to your mind?
See, I think it goes with the process. We need a lot of civic sense education, training, and sensitization around why is it important that not only our insides and our own clothes and everything should be clean, but why our outer spaces, open spaces, also need to be clean. And part of that is about our habits, the habit of not spitting and not using the wall as a toilet, not throwing garbage. And those habits are not easy to change. So yeah, there is always some disappointment when you're working and literally right on that wall somebody decides to start unzipping their pants, and then you have to tell them, and then they almost pretend like they didn't see there was a painting going on or there's a cleaning going on, or you come back the next morning and someone has actually dumped some garbage over
or
it.
Must have spitted.
That, of course, and worse.
Yeah.
So yesterday we were at one of the boundary walls of Nehru Stadium, and day before yesterday we had done some nice clean panels, and unfortunately that whole area is used as a public urinal and sometimes a big toilet as well. And so early morning what we find is just just a lot of things over there which hopefully we think would not happen, but then again we get going. You can't, if you were to get disheartened easily, then you won't be able to do what we do. So we take that as part of the process, find ways to work around it, and then try and explain to the local community, whether it is a guy who's running a chole bhature shop there or whether it's a local slum village, why it's important. Here when we were working with the kids, we got the kids to make a promise that they will not only not spoil it, but they will not let anybody else spoil the artwork, because they were involved.
Yeah, and by involving them in the process, you try to infuse some kind of sense, sensible responsibility into them.
We try
to take care of the.
But I think instead of just telling them or giving them a slogan or something like that, it's getting them involved. I think once they have put their own hands into it, they have a sense of ownership, a pride.
Correct.
So they have kids running up to me and saying, मैंने वहाँ पे करा था आपके साथ, and then they remember it.
Right.
And many of them don't have this opportunity to actually participate, because It's one thing to sweep a place clean, but it's another thing to be able to paint on their own walls, which not many people get to do, including not only, I would say, in these communities, but also in some of our, upper what I would call slightly cleaner society neighborhoods. People don't get that many opportunities. So whenever they have an opportunity, they get involved. We like to get them involved, and hopefully that makes some difference.
So as you said, you mentioned some of the examples of people urinating on the walls and all. So it clearly shows there might be unavailability of urinals. So do you talk to government? Do you tell them the problems that you face every day, or do you seek their help or some kind of initiative, government initiatives also?
We do work a lot with government agencies, with NGOs, with several other organizations, and we try and explain to them that while it is great that they're getting some place maybe cleaned and beautified with our help, or sometimes we have taken it up ourselves, but it's really important to understand the root cause of the problem. I mean, the root cause of our cities, especially in Delhi and all this, we don't have enough toilets, and we don't have toilets and spaces and garbage cans where people will actually use them. Just like sometimes we build foot over bridges at places where there's hardly any pedestrian traffic, and yet there are places where there's thousands of people crossing the road, jumping across, and there is no solution for that. So similarly, one of the places we were working, they all want to put signages saying the toilet is over there, go there and use it. And I try to explain to them that you're trying to change a natural human behavior. There's a CNG station. There's hundreds of taxis and autos will come there and park. The last thing he's going to do is go to a panel and read what it says. He will find the easiest spot to go and relieve himself. So why not, since you know there is such a high traffic area, there's so much footfall there, there are these vendors which are on the sidewalk, whether they're legal or illegal, you're not changing that. You can't go make them go away. So instead of that, provide some facilities, provide some more toilets which are visible, accessible, and so when they get off, they have an option right in front of them. I'm not talking about every street corner because that's not possible, but there are places which have very heavy footfall. The area I'm talking about is like near the CGO complex. There are tens of thousands of people who are walking around every day, taking the metro, walking from the metro, getting out of the taxis, or just going out for a walk after lunch. And there are very few toilets, and the ones which are there are hidden away like inside a CNG station or something. So no one will make the effort to go out there and look for it.
Also, if there is one that is not maintained.
That's the other issue. We were working in Nizamuddin Basti, and they have actually built a nice toilet in the corner of the road for the entrances. Unfortunately, it has only one water tank on top, and that water tank finishes in the morning few hours. And then what they do, they just lock it. So most of the day, that toilet complex is lying unused. On top of that, it is really designed only for use by men. And there are as many, if not more, women who come there to pay respect to the shrine or locals, but there is no facility for them. So we try to explain to them, we try to talk to the MCD guys as well.
Because you're working on ground, so nobody else better than you who can explain them the problems people face on ground,
and people come to us, they tell us. I mean, it's not like we're doing anything different. If any of these people from the agencies actually stand there and ask the problems of people, they will within minutes explain to them what the issues are. I mean, not having enough water in the tank is an issue, so there has to be a solution to it. Either you put a regular pipeline to it, or you build another 1 or 2 tanks so there's enough storage for the whole day. So these are issues they are aware of, but either the people are not listening or they're not asking the right questions. So they tell us, and we pass that information on, and if possible we try to influence sometimes some decisions on these things. In Shankar Market long back when we were painting, we were trying to get them to put some speed breakers on the road. Obviously we had a slight interest that the speed breakers are there, people will slow down, they'll watch the paintings also, and it's safety issue with pedestrians. And most of the people were saying, no, nobody drives fast, there's so much traffic, nobody can drive, what's you need a speed breaker for? And literally within a day, 2 cars banged into each other, and I said, and so eventually NDMC pushed quite a lot, and we had a lot of people we knew, and actually they moved very quickly and they actually put a speed breaker there, and it's been there now for almost 4 years. The point is, most people will assume you're just trying to disrupt their normal life.
Exactly.
And why are you even suggesting like this?
Exactly.
So over here, we have garbage cans behind me, and by and large, I'm quite happy to see a lot of people, even in pouring rain, are carrying the garbage and putting it into the garbage container here. But then the garbage container, I think, probably only gets cleared up once a day. Most of the day, there are thousands of flies and mosquitoes around here. And obviously the answer I'm sure will be is that the truck will only come once a day. Well, maybe we need bigger garbage cans, and maybe we need to have some of them closed.
Right.
They're all wide open.
Right.
Same thing with a lot of issues. So there are solutions to everything, provided you're looking for it. We focus on what we can do, because we don't need to, send a long file to an agency to explain to them what we're doing. We don't need to just put all of it in every one of our designs. We actually involve the people locally to ask them what they would like to do, what they would like to see. And most of the times the answer is make it nice, colorful. Some kids will want some, cartoon characters and things like that. But mostly the message is about making the place nicer. I think one big difference it makes in my mind is the reason people keep our malls and airports and all clean is when you go inside that space, you have the idea that it's a clean place. It's not a dirty place. So if it's a clean place, your switch is turned on saying, this place is clean, I'm not messing it up. Secondly, there is a fear of enforcement.
Correct.
If I mess it up, somebody...
Similarly, the way we visit any foreign country, any Western country, we obviously we get into that mold and behave properly.
And the public spaces in those countries are relatively kept very clean. Our public spaces, we don't pay so much attention, so they're dirty. So the mindset comes, अरे ये तो गंदा ही है ना, क्या हो गया, मैंने थोड़ा सा फेंक दिया,
और गंदा कर दिया उसको. So when it comes to citizens' responsibility, what do you think? How a citizen should behave, or what kind of responsibility one should show towards their city, because the city is also their home.
Right.
It's not just the 4x4 or a 2 BHK house that they live in. They live in the city, they own the city, and it is their responsibility as well to make it beautified. So
I think some citizens and RWAs are now making more efforts to work on their public spaces in and around their colonies. But by and large, the bigger the houses, the more nicer colonies there are. People tend to stay within the confines of their things. Unless somebody comes and creates some muck in front of their house, by and large, the chances are they don't get involved. They don't want to, either they don't have the time or the inclination. So I think getting out on the road, and part of it is even just walking around. If people are walking around, you will notice many more things than when you drive by in a car or a scooter. When you walk, if you have to walk, your sidewalk is broken, or somebody has dumped some malba on it, you can't go on, you have to walk on the road, it'll hit you.
correct.
Maybe. At least it'll hit 1 or 10 people. Others will just assume it's there and just keep walking.
They'll just
But at least they're noticing. So if you notice it, that's the first step. Be aware of it, and then see if you can do something to mobilize it. I mean, obviously not every group can get out there and say, I'm going to create a voluntary group and start doing something about it. But there are plenty of citizen groups now trying, especially the younger people, and that's the key. I think our current older generation is now kind of the point where it's too much an effort to change their mindset sometimes.
Correct.
Not saying that all of them, but a large number of them. So the younger people, the younger generation, that's where the change really needs to happen today, because that's only when 10, 20 years down the road, we can also say that our cities are as clean as the ones outside, or we have a civic sense which is like anywhere else in the world.
It is as similar as we say the right time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Exactly.
So it is right time to educate the younger generation so that 20 years down the line we have a civilized society, so-called civilized society that
Absolutely.
we aim to.
Yeah. So get them involved. So we try, and wherever we go, get all our artists are relatively young. They're all either college students or passed out of college recently. Some of them are school students. And then our local community kids are all very young. They're all school-going children. So even if I would say 1 out of every 20 of them takes a message and spreads it somewhere later on in their life, I think it'll make a difference.
Yeah. So thanks a lot. We heard Yogesh saying that even 1 out of every 20 people, if they take a step forward, the change will definitely come. Whenever you see any problem, any malba, a person dumping a garbage on the road, do not ignore it, do not avoid it. Raise the voice against it. If you find any public toilet, any public facility broken or in not in a proper condition, raise the voice. The point is, until unless we raise the voice, nobody is going to hear us, and until unless the people hear us, they will not do the the work they are supposed to. So it's time to wake up, it's time to raise our voice, it's time to make the authorities, the public and the society at large to realize their responsibility, and let's develop together. Let's be civilized again. Thank you for joining us, and wake up India.